We're going to work with the heart in today's class. We're going to work with love and awareness from love, awareness from the heart. And that will be a different experience for different people. And so as I guide us through this, rather than trying to figure it out or get it right, I want to encourage you to allow your heart to just listen. So even right now, bringing attention to your heart. To this feeling center. This place where you feel a stab of pain when something really sad occurs. This place where you feel a burst of pleasure when you're in the company of someone you love. So I remember when I really discovered this part of me. And it's not to say that I wasn't aware of it. I was probably very aware of it as a kid. But for some of us, it's just too painful to be in contact, in dialogue, in touch with the heart. And for some of us, that distancing from the heart and that disconnection from the heart happens at a really early age. And that was my experience. I felt a lot of pain and felt a lot of others' pain. And there was a lot of pain around me, a lot of suffering. And I felt it so deeply and didn't really know what to do with it. Didn't really know how to live with it. And so I taught myself to stop feeling. Or life, life circumstances taught me. And part of what we do on the spiritual path and on the self-development path is we're learning to feel. We're learning to feel our feelings. We're learning to open our heart. We're learning to connect with the divine, or whatever you want to call it. We're learning to awaken in the mind, in the heart, in the gut. To awaken to what we are. And so I was doing a meditation that was kind of the opposite of that. I was trying to put it to sleep. And sometimes something so painful or so beautiful would happen, and it would open it up a bit. But most of the time there was a kind of numbing, a kind of dulling down of the heart experience. And we see this with people all the time. You can just take a moment and think of some people in your life who have closed their heart in one way or another. And in closing the heart, start really living in the thoughts. And when we're really living in the thoughts, the mind starts to close too. Start to get very attached to one idea or another, one preference or another, one belief or another. Things get very narrow. And I'm sure you can think of some people in your life, or maybe even yourself at times, closed off from the heart, mind narrowed, suffering. And so I spent a bunch of years that way. And there were these glimpses, there were these moments that I now reflect on as like, these little doorways, little window ways opening, showing me, there's something else. There's something more than being this separate, solid, suffering self. But I had really trained myself to shut down when there was pain, and to close up when there was discomfort, and to, if I couldn't do it on my own, to use substances or overworking or, dramatic dysfunctional relationships, whatever it took to kind of keep myself what I thought was safe. But we all know on some level, even if we don't yet know, we know on some level that closing ourselves off, closing our hearts, shutting down, it doesn't actually make us safer. It makes us even more susceptible to suffering. It makes our world smaller. Makes our ability to experience love and connection less available. And so this attempt to get safe, to get comfortable through closing the heart, it doesn't actually work. Though I think it's important to say that there are times that it works. There are times that it's really, really important to have that option. And anyone that grew up in an abusive home, a home of addiction, of mental illness, anyone who experienced trauma in those ways, closing your heart was probably a really good idea. I know for me it was. And I even say using drugs and alcohol in destructive, ultimately destructive ways, probably saved my life, because relief was needed. We can only take so much. And so when we can talk about opening our hearts, and we can talk about how closing the heart doesn't actually create safety, but we must also recognize that there are times when that's exactly what was needed, and what a miracle our systems are to know that, to know like, this is too much. This is too much. So time to close. But as we grow and as we create safe, functional lives for ourselves, part of the process is learning to open back up, learning to feel again, learning that it's safe to experience discomfort and pain, that it won't kill us. And that's a process. And so for me, when I was reintroduced to my heart, to this center of feeling within me, it was really shocking. It was really overwhelming. And I actually had a couple panic attacks, which panic attacks, I've dealt with anxiety most of my life, but full-on panic attacks was not something that I necessarily had experience with. So it was very shocking. And luckily I had, good teachers and friends who were able to see what was going on and offer guidance and support. And we started to uncover that I had a whole lot of grief in my heart, a whole lot of grief, years and years and years and years of grief that hadn't been felt. And so, of course, I was having panic attacks. Like, that's a lot. So, I just started slowly feeling it, getting to know it, experiencing it. And over time, I gained additional tools, ways to pendulate away from it, ways to create safety and resource so that I'm not always sitting in the grief. But the grief didn't go on forever. I was able to work through these layers because I spent time with the heart. And so if you have that feeling of, I can't go into this, I can't experience this because if I feel it, I'll never stop crying. Or if I let myself experience the depth of my sorrow, I'm never going to get up off the floor. Just know that you will. It's not bottomless. And there's lots and lots of support, lots and lots of support available. And to be very clear, meditation is just one option, one example of that support. It's not a solve all. My process of ongoing process of knowing and feeling and becoming aware from my heart has involved a lot of different kind of support. Everything from therapy to medication to nature to body work to lots and lots of trauma resolution and healing, right? So we encounter this process of feeling and of experiencing the heart well, I want to say well armed, which sounds kind of, violent in a way, but well armed, armed with all the tools. And that toolkit can continue to grow and to expand and to evolve as you grow and expand and evolve. But what you'll find probably is that as you get to know your heart, and as you start to live more from your heart, as the heart opens, the mind will open, possibility will open. Life will start to feel a lot more like a mysterious and fantastic journey without destination. Never-ending fountain of possibility and of so much love. There's so much love available. So much love that we can't fathom in our human minds. So becoming aware, seeing from the heart, can start to plug us into that love in a way that our minds simply cannot, because it's just too big. So what I'd like to do today is just take us through a practice of being with our hearts. And we've already been doing it. You're probably already having a lot of awareness of the heart, maybe feeling some emotions, maybe starting to find yourself dropping into the body more, experiencing more of the body. So we're going to explore that together more deeply. And as always, with any practice that you do with me, or I'd say any practice you do with anyone, you have the option of moving to resource. For some of you, this practice is going to be resource. And for others, it might be really challenging, it might bring up a lot. And so if you fall into that category, you might be doing the practice and then taking a break and going to resource, going to your feet on the ground, your butt on the seat, your dog in your lap. You might be orienting, taking in the space, finding a color that's pleasing, looking out your window, seeing the trees, if you have trees out your window. And then when it feels appropriate for you, you come back to the practice. So that invitation is always there. Always there. Because as I've been talking about, the journey to seeing from, feeling from, living from the heart, it could be challenging. And so it's not just like, open your heart, do it now. I mean, that'd be nice, I guess. But when I think of like the human animal, if you would have taken me from like 15 years ago and snapped your fingers and my heart was as open as it is now, I feel like I don't know, I feel like I probably would have just imploded. It probably would have felt like someone seriously dosed me. So we do this in a way that is safe, that is appropriate for each of us individually. So let's do it. You can go ahead and start to find a posture that's comfortable for you. Maybe you want to get a sip of water. My little dog has a posture that's very comfortable for him. He is splayed across my lap. So now I'll arrange around him. So as a reminder, you might do this practice seated in a chair with cushions behind you. You might do it seated on a chair at the front of the chair with your spine nice and tall, upright. You might do it sitting on the floor in a lotus or a half lotus or a Burmese style or crisscross applesauce. You might do it on a meditation bench. You might do it lying down flat on your back on a yoga mat or curled up in a ball in your bed. You might do it standing. You find what's right for your body and what's going to allow you to be here and do the practice. Since we are working with the heart, it could be helpful to have the chest open to a certain extent. But that's not required. So you find what's right for you. And if you find that through the practice, the body wants to move in some way, I encourage you to trust that instinct while also being aware of the tendency to kind of habitually, compulsively move. So there's a difference between, I'm noticing that in this moment, my body really needs to curl over. Or I'm noticing in this moment, my head just needs to slowly turn. Or I'm feeling in this moment that I need to bring a hand to my heart, right? These intentional movements. I really, really encourage and invite that. But if you're finding like, I got an itch, I got an itch. I'm not quite comfortable. Let me move here. No, that still doesn't work. Oh, shoot. Now I got to move this way. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot. I needed to check Twitter. Let me just check Twitter real quick. Right. So these things, those would be more sort of compulsive and habitual. And we won't do those, or we'll aim not to. So we're aiming towards a kind of stillness while also trusting the body's wisdom. Okay. So eyes can be opened or closed, whatever feels good for you. And we'll begin by just simply inviting some relaxation into the body. Softening into the forehead, the eyebrows, allowing expression to melt away. And if you're not sure if you're scrunching up your forehead, go ahead and scrunch it up and then release it. Sometimes we can have such a habit of furrowing the brow that we don't even notice we're doing it. So that can kind of show you, okay, that's tight. This is released. Relaxing down into your eyes and all the little muscles around your eyes. And softening and relaxing down into your mouth and your jaw. And maybe allowing the jaw to drop open a little. Maybe allowing a sigh. And softening into your neck, your shoulders, and down into your arms and your hands. And if you run into a spot that's not interested in relaxing, just go ahead and relax around that area, allowing it to be there, letting go of resistance. I'm having a big flare up on my right side right now, and so the entire like shoulder and scapula and all of that is just like locked up. And yet, as I give it permission to be just what it is, and I relax around it, it actually starts to release just a little bit. So you're continuing to soften down into the torso, front and back, softening into the chest, into the solar plexus, and down into the lower abdomen. Noticing where you might be able to relax in the back. upper back, mid back, and lower back. Relaxing into the hips, allowing the hips to widen, into the seat. Imagine relaxing all around your tailbone. If you direct your attention to the space around your tailbone and then imagine it relaxing, there's a very pleasant kind of relaxation that can occur just by thinking about that area of the body relaxing. And bringing attention to the pelvic area, softening and relaxing here. And down into both of your legs, releasing, relaxing, softening wherever it's available. And all the way down into your feet. So taking a moment here, and just being with this. Maybe you're feeling really relaxed. Maybe you're just feeling a little bit relaxed. Start to tune into relaxation. And give yourself a few moments to simply be with relaxation, to feel relaxation. If you find yourself slipping into thought, it's totally okay, totally normal. Gently, with kindness, bring your attention back to relaxation in the body. You might be aware of a global sense of relaxation, or maybe just one small area that feels relaxed. Either of those and anything in between is a-okay. Now beginning to gather attention into the heart area, space around your heart, in your heart. And we've been focused on relaxation, so you might be sensitized to it and also be even more aware of where tension might be. So go ahead and check out this area around the heart, in the heart. Using your physical awareness, feel in and notice if there's any areas of tension or resistance, any kind of bracing or blocking, any sense of closing, any little walls around your heart or armor. And it might come in the form of an ache or a tense, tight feeling. It also might come in the form of sort of an absence of feeling, a numbness. Blocks around your heart may also come in the form of having trouble staying with the heart and finding yourself pulled into thoughts about anything else. So we start by just having this kind awareness of the places where we might be closed off around the heart, the places where we might be in resistance to feeling and seeing from the heart. And we're not here to pry the heart open with a crowbar. It's not even necessarily better in this moment for your heart to be open if it's closed. But it is a really good idea to be aware of how open or closed your heart might be. So if you run into any of these experiences of armor, bracing, block around or in the heart, just start by getting curious, feeling that, getting intimate with the armor of your heart. Rather than resisting resistance, embracing it. And this might be where you stay, just getting curious and friendly with the blocks, with the armor. But perhaps there's not so many blocks or armor, or perhaps there's a little window or door that's opening, giving you access to this heart space. And if that's the case, you start to move into the heart. You start to feel what's here. There could be anything from deepest, most divine love to darkest, most painful sorrow. Might be anxiety or worry, might be fear, might be joy. There might be many things happening in the heart all at once. I'm getting curious. What's here? What's here now? And what's here now? What can be experienced at the heart level now? You may be aware of words and images, and that's okay. I invite you as much as possible to keep returning to the feeling, to the embodied experience of the heart. Maybe just noticing, what is it like to be me when I'm in contact with the heart? When I'm feeling what's here? What is it like to exist, to be alive when I'm intimate with the heart in this way? Now we'll shift a bit. Rather than putting our attention on our heart or sort of pointing down to the heart from the head, what would it be like to be the heart? Not a me that is experiencing intimacy with the heart, but actually being the heart. Feeling the heart from the heart. Aware from the heart, seeing from the heart, as the heart. And as the heart is aware, is it aware of itself? Is there a knowing, a homecoming, the heart knowing itself, seeing itself? And is it possible that that heart that is aware might somehow be connected to the rest of this body, to this mind? Is it possible that this heart that is aware is actually bigger than just this body and this mind? Is it possible that this heart, this feeling of coming home keeps going? That this heart awareness extends wider and wider and wider, in every direction. This love, this aliveness, expanding always, always. And you, one and the same. No possibility of separation. And if we live from this all encompassing heart that excludes nothing, if we recognize that that is what we are, how might it change how we interact with each other? How might it change how we experience the parts of self that are afraid or angry? How might this knowing, this seeing, this being of this all encompassing love and aliveness, this never ending heart, how might that completely change how you live this next hour of your life? How you live this life? And now beginning to gather attention back, back, back. Find a simple sensation, maybe the feeling of your butt on the seat, maybe your breath. Gathering back in right here, right now. Beginning to blink the eyes open. Taking in your space. Can you see the walls of your room from that ever expanding, all encompassing heart? And can you experience it looking right back at you? Thank you so much for practicing with me. It's such a total pleasure to be with you.